All the highlights of the Daytona 500 by STP as Davey Allison picks up his 14th career win, but none ever as big as this one.
The Busch Grand National Series got underway here in Daytona. It was a beautiful day for racing, and Dale Earnhardt brought home the checkered flag. We'll have all the highlights of the race just ahead.
We'll wrap up our three-team trip on the road to Daytona. The hard work and long hours resulted in disappointment and despair for two teams, but rewarded this crew with the top prize in Daytona.
Inside Winston Cup Racing is brought to you by coal-filtered Miller Genuine Draft and Miller Genuine Draft Light, taking the country by storm. Havoline Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. And by Goodyear, maker of the world's most successful tires, the Goodyear Eagles.
In America, your car doesn't just get you from here to there. It's a part of your life. To give your car complete protection, Texaco has developed Havoline Formula 3 Motor Oil. With not one, but 3 kinds of protection against heat stress, starting friction, and engine dirt. Havoline Formula 3. Add more life to your car.
All of these championship-winning drivers have one thing in common: Goodyear Racing Eagles. The race-winning technology that's found in the Goodyear Racing Eagles can also be found in the world's best-selling line of high-performance street tires, Goodyear Eagle Street Radials. The champions know, and it's why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
Filtered Miller Genuine Draft. For those who've discovered its real draft taste, the world is a very cool place.
In the rain and snow, on the road again. I'm on the road again. On the road again. I'm on.
Hello there, I'm Lorianne Crook.
I'm Charlie Chase. This week on Crook and Chase, the brand new Restless Heart will join us live.
And a talk with country lady Patty Loveless. It's all this week.
Crook and Chase, weeknights on TNN.
I hear showboat band. Is that okay?
It's better than okay, John Hartford. It's great. Banjos, fiddles, and riverboats. Wednesday on TNN.
One of the most exciting and competitive events during Speed Weeks here at the Daytona International Speedway is the Goodys 300 NASCAR Busch Grand National Race, which is held on Saturday before the Daytona 500. This year's race was no exception. Good racing and some excitement as well, and some disappointment for some. For more on all of that and the highlights, let's go to Dan Kenyon.
Well, Nat, I'm down on the grid here with Joe Nemechek. Joe, this is kickoff, first race of the season. You guys got a good sponsor under your belt. What do we look for now?
Well, I hope we're going to do very well on these races. Starting out here at Daytona on the pole makes me really happy. Our team's happy. Our sponsors are happy. Carrying the Texas Pete colors is a major sponsorship. Lazito's Pharmacy is an associate, and we're ready to go wide open all year.
Michael Waltrip and Joe Nemechek led the field of 42 onto the track to do battle for the 34th annual Goodys 300. By the third lap, Dale Earnhardt and Ward Burton teamed up to pass the Pennzoil Pontiac of Michael Waltrip. Lap 6, Ward Burton tried Earnhardt but couldn't get him. Lap number 12, Joe Nemechek took over the point with Sterling Marlin in second. Lap 15, Randy McDonald and Jim Bound came together in turn 2. Chain reaction wreck occurred, collecting several other cars. After the restart, Dale Earnhardt, Ward Burton, and Joe Nemechek all would then take turns leading the race, no one establishing the definitive position. On lap 32, rookie Robert Huffman got together with Dave Rezendes on the backstretch. There were some flames, and it brought out the second caution of the day. Ernie Irvin and Dale Earnhardt led the restart. Dale quickly took the lead, and Ken Schrader and Davey Allison followed for second and third. Lap 50, Scott Herberg takes a ride in turn 4. He brought out yellow number 3. At the halfway point, it was Earnhardt, Jimmy Spencer, Ward Burton, Ernie Irvin, and Ken Schrader. All the while, Robert Presley had been moving up from his 25th starting position. He was now 9th. Lap 76 was witness to one of the most frightening wrecks in recent memory. The 45 car of Jimmy Spencer came up on Joe Nemechek. Joe's car spun. As he came up the track, a multi-car crash occurred. Nemechek's car exploded and stayed on fire for quite a while. The crash also collected Todd Bodine, Chuck Bound, Tom Peck, Bobby Labonte, Tommy Houston, Michael Waltrip, and Mike Wallace. Nemechek suffered some bad burns, but he'll be back today at Hickory, ready to run. The 7th and final caution was displayed on lap 113 when Butch Miller slid through the trioval. The rest of the race belonged to Earnhardt, Ernie Irvin, and Ward Burton. They all tried but couldn't pass the man in black. He took home the checkered flag, finishing 0.2 of a second ahead of Ernie Irvin. For Dale, it marked the 3rd year in a row his black number 3 was parked in victory lane.
Well, the car ran great. You know, Tony Uri and all the guys did a great job with it. Spenny Clinton with the engine, Jack Tent with the qualifying engine. So everything worked out great for us. It's been a good week for us. We're getting the momentum built up. Hopefully we can carry it through tomorrow.
Today's Mailbox is brought to you by Miller Genuine Draft.
Our question today is from Grant Eagle of Concord, North Carolina, who writes, at super speedways, NASCAR Winston Cup Racing uses right side windows for safety and increased speeds. So why can't right side windows be used at tracks like Charlotte, Darlington, and Rockingham for greater speeds? Well, Grant, for that answer, we'll go to Rusty Wallace, the 1989 NASCAR Winston Cup champion who drives the Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac.
Well, they're not really used for greater speed. What they're used for is safety. At Daytona and Talladega, we're running such a minimum spoiler angle. If the cars get loose, they've had a tendency to start rolling reverse flips. And so NASCAR put the right side windows in them to keep the inside of the car from filling up like a parachute and lifting. They could be used at other racetracks, but some other racetracks, I'm afraid it would keep the cockpit so hot that the driver would be unbearable in there. And at Talladega and Daytona, it's awful hot, so I can imagine it'd be tough at other places.
If you have any race questions, you can write to us at Inside Winston Cup Racing, Box 240-417, Charlotte 28224. If we use your question on the air, you'll receive this embroidered Miller Genuine Draft jacket free. Fans 21 and under will receive an IWCR cap and t-shirt. And you'll also receive Milton Bradley's Daytona 500 race game, officially licensed by NASCAR.
It's time now for a short break. Still to come on this edition of Inside Winston Cup Racing are highlights of the Daytona 500 by STP, and we'll also have our last segment on the road to Daytona, so you stay with us.
Are you still polishing your car the old-fashioned way? Rubbing, buffing, and waxing, only to highlight all those nasty nicks and scratches? Well, now you can throw them all away. Introducing Color Match, the acrylic sealant that actually matches your car's original color. Now you can use Color Match to cover all those minor nicks and scratches with a protective shine that lasts for 1 full year guaranteed. Watch how it works. First, we'll damage this car's paint. Ouch! That's damage. Now watch as we apply the Color Match system. Look how easily it goes on. Now watch how those nicks and scratches disappear. Now you see them, now you don't. Even dull, faded finishes are brought back to the car's original color with an acrylic finish, the same color as your car's original paint. Color Match restores and protects your car's finish from the damaging rays of the sun and the punishing effects of Mother Nature without leaving those ugly swirl marks.
Color Match really works. And it's so easy to use. Color Match made my nicks and scratches disappear.
With Color Match, you'll have the right color with results that last 1 full year guaranteed. Even after 50 times through the car wash, it won't wash off. And don't worry, Color Match is not a paint. It's a high-tech dye in an acrylic polish blended to match your car's color. Experts agree, Color Match makes everything else obsolete. The Color Match system is yours for only $19.95. And if you order now, you'll receive a second bottle in the color of your choice absolutely free. But wait, that's not all. We'll also throw in Glass Shield Window Protectant, our amazing Duragloss Vinyl Leather and Tire Restorer, and Fog Shield, the Fog Eliminator. An extra bonus value of over $20, yours free when you order the complete Color Match Car Care System for only $19.95. Here's how to order. Call 1-800-647-9100 or send check or money order for $19.95 plus $4.95 shipping and handling to Color Match, 300 McCann Street, Nashville, Tennessee 37210.
Next Sunday, live on TNN Motorsports. Prepare yourself for the daring, the different, the unexpected, and the exciting. It's TNN's first Winston Cup race of the season, live from Rockingham, North Carolina. The Good Wrench 500 next Sunday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, live, only on TNN Motorsports.
Qualifying for the Daytona 500 is unique. They run time trials, and of course the fastest two get to start on the front row, but then everybody else has to gain their position by running in qualifying races, and I'll tell you, it can get a little hairy as it did this year. For more on all of that and highlights of the Daytona 500 by STP, let's go to Randy.
As you look at these shiny new race cars poised on the grid prior to the Daytona 500, you'd never know it, but there were many trials and tribulations before they lined up here on the starting grid, as there were several crashed race cars during the week, and there were many bruised egos. The Winston Cup garage area turned into $1 million junkyard on Wednesday. Mike Wallace was the first to crash, destroying his Dick Moroso machine as they failed to make the 500. By mid-afternoon, the teams were tuning their automobiles, and yet another crash happened. Michael Waltrip destroyed his Pennzoil Pontiac. Along with him, A.J. Foyt, Wally Dallenbach, and Bobby Hillen Jr. Brett Bodine lost his Ford, but the Quaker State team was able to repair it for the 125 qualifiers. With 10 minutes left in Wednesday's practice session, Davey Allison destroyed his 500 car. They rolled another one off the truck for the 125s. The first wreck in the first Gatorade qualifier happened when Ernie Irvin tried to go 3 wide with Mark Martin and Alan Kawicki. Mark got into Alan, and the field went scattering. Wreck number 2 occurred when Dale Earnhardt tried to get around Sterling Marlin, but didn't make it. The third and final wreck came when Dale Jarrett lost his Chevy in the draft, and he and Kyle Petty both had to go to backup cars for the 500. All in all, 10 cars were taken out with wrecks. And oh yeah, Dale Earnhardt won the first 125. The second 125 was dominated by Bill Elliott when he led all but 1 lap to pick up his first win ever for Junior Johnson in his Ford racing team. So the field was set for the 500, although many were in backup cars, including the king, Richard Petty. But it was he that was the man of the hour in front of 130,000+ fans. He gave the command to start your engines.
Okay, guys, let's go. Drag them up.
The 34th running of the Daytona 500 by STP kicked off the King's final season and final start in a race that he had captured a record 7 times. Richard would start 32nd in the field of 42 competitors, with a pair of Junior Johnson Fords on the front row. Sterling Marlin and Bill Elliott forged out front for the first 48 laps, but as predicted, they weren't the only T-Birds taking up the top spots, as Davey Allison, Jeff Bodine, and Morgan Shepherd made their presence felt in a major freight train. It wasn't until scheduled pit stops started that the Chevys of Darrell Waltrip and Ken Schrader were able to put their numbers on the scoreboard. By then, the race was on a record-setting pace, but on lap 84 of the 200, Mother Nature made her presence felt with a little rain, forcing the first of 4 yellow flags on the afternoon. The race went green once again on lap 90, with the bright red Ford of Bill Elliott's out front. On lap 92, Ernie Irvin emerged to break up the Ford dominance as he made a bid for the lead. They went 3 wide down the backstretch as he and Elliott made Marlin the meat in the sandwich, and that wasn't kosher. A total of 13 race cars were involved, and several were turned into mincemeat.
You know, we basically just come off tool work kind of 3 deep, and I was a sandwich, and you know, Ernie's coming up, and you know, I don't know if Bill knew Ernie was up under there, and I seen what was going to happen, was going to get sandwiched, and you know, I started getting on the brake, but it's just, I mean, just enough to hang Ernie and turn him into Bill, and you know, we just caught all up in the middle of it. So just a racing deal. I mean, we're just racing, and we can't fault nobody.
Man, it's unfortunate. I don't know why they keep wrecking in the straightaways. You got to work damn hard to wreck in a straightaway, and they keep doing that.
When the race went green, the remaining unscarred cars were left to chase Davey Allison. And that's what they did during the final 100 laps. The final 2 cautions were brought out when Kerry T took out Rick Wilson while he was attempting to make pit road on lap 144. And then when Ernie Irvin swerved and spun by himself on lap 166. The final 30 circuits saw Davey showing the way with Michael Waltrip and Shepard looking for an opening. Michaels never came as he blew up with 7 to go and was black flagged with 2 remaining. Shepard had a shot, but he couldn't make it happen as Allison was able to hold on and take the biggest win of his Winston Cup career.
Davey, can you express that? Has it hit you yet what you've just accomplished before G?
I am shaking all over. I cannot believe this. This is unbelievable. This has been a dream of mine since I was a little kid. And we've been down here several times with the fastest car and haven't been able to win. And then all of a sudden, things just went our way today. I can't say anything more. You know, I watched Morgan. I tried to make sure I didn't give him room to go anywhere. I didn't do anything out of line or crazy. I just stayed where he needed to be, and he couldn't get alongside of us. We won the race. Tomorrow I'll probably realize it more than I do right now.
Well, Davey Allison and the Robert Yates team were very strong at the end of the 1991 season, and they said that they were getting themselves in position to make a run for the 1992 NASCAR Winston Cup Championship, and what a great way to kick it off. I think they will be tough for that title this year. We need to take a short break, and as we leave you for this break, here's this week's Havoline Track Talk.
This edition of Track Talk is brought to you by Havoline. Add more life to your car.
Well, we're here with our Western Auto Chevrolet. We're preparing our car for qualifying. And the part that this spoiler plays, we'll be running the minimum amount of degrees possible. This allows the car to cut through the air with the greatest of ease and try to run as fast as we can. And when we're through qualifying, it's time for race. That's when it gets serious. This is where we go looking for the most comfort to make the driver be able to run wide open all the way around the racetrack. This sometimes calls for more than 35 minimum that we qualify with. After viewing the qualifying races down here in Daytona, in the first race, we were in the second. So the first race was pretty spectacular things happened, and it was due to aerodynamic lift in the rear of the car. So before the start of the second qualifying race, we decided to run down to our car and bump a few more degrees into the rear spoiler, and that gave us stability to run throughout the day.
How far can effort and energy take you? How much performance can you get out of a machine? Texaco has the answer in System 3 gasolines. System 3 helps remove harmful engine deposits in all octane grades to improve performance with the energy to run stronger, smoother, cleaner. The energy to go further.
Genuine draft. For those who've discovered its real draft taste, the world is a very cool place.
This is America. A grand land of wonderful places. And some wonderful folks. It's freedom to grow and to visit anywhere we wish, from the heartland to the great shores. And all this year, TNN, the Nashville Network, will explore America. Its cities, its neighborhoods, its parks, and its people. It's a memorable journey. All this year, when TNN explores America.
I can't go on living in this state of mind.
This group made country music history when their debut single topped all the country charts. Diamond Rio stars On Stage, Tuesday on TNN.
Pre-race inspection was a tedious task at Daytona as teams worked overtime to meet NASCAR's new rules designed to tighten up competition on the track. We'll have reaction to the tougher templates and get the reasons behind the new rigid rules of racing.
With the Daytona 500 now in the books, we'll take you to Rockingham, where teams will be tuning and testing in hopes of taking the pole, the win, and the $190,000 Unocal bonus in the Goodwrench 500.
The cars are packing up and going home. That's it from Daytona. But next week we'll be in Hickory to see all the short track bumping and grinding.
After the 1991 NASCAR Winston Cup season ended last November, we started following 3 teams on the road to Daytona as they prepared for the Daytona 500. We were following Rusty Wallace in the Miller Genuine Draft Car number 2, and Dale Jarrett in the Interstate Battery Chevrolet number 18, and Davey Allison in the Havoline Ford number 28. Well, we have our final segment on the road to Daytona. It was good for one, not so good for the other 2.
The Interstate Batteries race team was full of optimism in the weeks building up to the Great American Race in Daytona. Cars were ready, testing went well, and everybody was ready to go. We spoke with driver Dale Jarrett Saturday the 8th. These were his thoughts.
We're not running quite as fast as we wanted to be running at this time, but we're working and making some gains, and I think things are going pretty smooth for a team that just got started back in September.
Qualifying was Sunday, and the team ran quick enough for 15th position. Practice all week led to Thursday's twin 125s, and this made for some added pressure.
You know, you're first down here trying to get the car to go fast, to qualify well. Then as soon as qualifying's over, you have to start thinking about the 125s on Thursday and getting the car prepared there. And then hopefully you're going to make it through there. You know, if you don't, then you put that much more pressure on the crew to have to get another car ready. And so there's a lot that they have to do.
Their first competition was Thursday. The team started 8th in the first 125 qualifying race. Their car was running very well. Unfortunately, they wrecked badly in turn 4 and had to go to a backup car. Not good news. They started the 500 35th. Their car again was running very well as he worked his way up until the biggest crash of the day. Sterling Marlin, Ernie Irvin, and Bill Elliott came together. Cars went everywhere. Jarrett was right behind the wreck and had nowhere to go. The car was finished, and Daytona was very unkind. Disappointment showed on everyone involved. Fortunately for Gibbs, Makar, and Jarrett, there's 28 more races and plenty of time to show their stuff.
The Miller Genuine Draft team made the decision to run the same car in the Clash, the Twins, and the 500. But Rusty's ride was not what he and the crew had hoped for. First, he struggled in the Clash, then qualified outside the top 30 for the 500. But when several contenders crashed in his qualifying race, Rusty landed 8th at the finish and 17th in the 500 field. Since they knew they were not the fastest, the strategy was to run a conservative race and review the developments with 100 miles remaining. The Miller Genuine Draft team was the only one of the 3 Road to Daytona teams that was not forced to go to their backup car during speed weeks. But just before the halfway point of the 500, they were collected in that multi-car incident on the backstretch.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we're just logging laps. I told the guys, I said, hey, I'm just logging laps, man. Get to the 400. Me and Schrader was sitting there drafting, and the 10-car draft, whoever wanted to draft, my car run good. And I believe there's only 15 of us in the lead lap or something just trucking along. I'm going, hey, this is a smart, cool 500 now. And I'll be damned if they don't do it again.
The hard work this crew put in prior to the race continued for 50 laps in the middle of it. Wallace returned to the track in his modified Miller and finished 34th.
We agreed to run the race like it was the last one of a championship, just so we get the most of the points. And we were on our way to do that, and a little mishap down the backstretch here. A lot of smoke caused the plan to go foul, but these boys will fight back. They'll come back hard. And least one of your teams made it all the way into victory lane. So maybe our turn will be next year.
After finishing 4th in the Busch Clash, the Robert Yates Racing Team wasn't especially pleased with their qualifying run for the 500. It was 6th quickest, but this team wanted the pole. It was days later when the team would become even less pleased, when their number 1 car, Calhoun, came in on a flatbed in the final practice session on Wednesday. After rolling their backup car, Buster, off the trailer, the team took to a frantic pace to get ready for the 125s. NASCAR allowed them a shakedown lap just for safety purposes. After the Crash Fest first 125, Davey did a little adjusting on the car before hitting the racetrack.
Davey just radioed me a while ago, said, wanted to let me know he done bumped a little more spoiler in ours already, so
it was a conservative approach. After starting at the back of the field, Davey drove a consistent race to finish 3rd. During the 500, Buster got better and better as the race went on, and missing that major crash on lap 92 just may have been the key to the Havoline Ford finding victory lane. But this team put themselves in a position to win through hard work, perseverance, and a perfectionist-like attitude.
Hey,
Road to Daytona, I think we brought you good luck.
Boy, I'm telling you, we'll look for you next year. And it has been a long road. I'm telling you, that it's been a long week down here, losing our primary car. But old Buster come out of the truck and done good for us, But maybe you find this hard to believe, but we wasn't as good as we could have been today. That's the truth. The car pushed a good part of the day, but had a strong enough motor to tote us down to the other end where we could get down there and go back the other way.
Our thanks to all 3 of those teams for letting us tag along during their test sessions and going into their shops during the winter. We learned from it, and we hope that you did too. Perhaps we'll have more series of that sort in the future. Well, our time's up for today. Hope you enjoyed the show, and you be sure to be with us here next week on TNN when we'll have more on Inside Winston Cup Racing.
Inside Winston Cup Racing has been brought to you by coal-filtered Miller Genuine Draft and Miller Genuine Draft Light, taking the country by storm. And by Havoline Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. Transportation for Inside Winston Cup Racing provided by Fleetwood Enterprises, makers of a full line of excellent recreational vehicles. Communications for Inside Winston Cup Racing crew provide
1, 2, 3, 4.